Brothers and sisters of YouTube, the light welcomes you and bids you come play a Holy Paladin. For this class is the shit, and our T-Mogs are without fucking peer. You know you want to glow. I see you sitting in an hour and a half DPS queue. You're probably sitting in it right now. You want to try it, but you'll be goddamned if you want to set up all your buttons, still not know what to do, and then jump in a solo shuffle to go get smashed by Fury Warriors and Demon Hunters over and over, right? That doesn't sound real great. So you're going to go look up a guide to figure out what to do, but it's just some rank 1 who clipped his highlights of him shitting on a bunch of noobs. And that helps you fuck all, right? So I'm just some 1800 dad, but I'm going to get you started on this class so that you have some idea what you're doing. I'll walk you through the spells and abilities and kind of explain to you, give you a basic understanding of the class. If you're wanting to go sky high and really you want to just really queue into a shit ton of Demon Hunters and Shadow Priest, which you'll learn you don't as a Holy Paladin, then you can push that rating up this season. I'm pretty good. I think I'm just trying to hit that 18. Maybe might push 2.1. I don't know. We'll see. But I want you guys to have a way to get started if you're thinking about it, because the class is phenomenal. And I was where you were at. I was a DPS for a long time. And then Blizzard took my fucking range survival, right, and fucked it. And then now I broke up with WoW and I was done with this shit game. And then a voice like the Archangel Michael himself rang out, right? And it was my Stoopsy bidding me come play a Holy Paladin, just like I'm doing to you. And I took the leap, and I haven't looked back since. So, you never know. You never know. You might really like it. But let me show you how it works. We'll just open up the box here, okay? If you want to make it magical, you're going to have to learn how to do that. But I'll show you how it basically works. Here we go. There's a lot of spells in this spell book, but don't let it overwhelm you. I'm going to break it down spell by spell, show you how it all works together. The best way to do this, I think, is to go through A, how all the healing works, and then B, we'll go through how all the utility that you can throw on top of that healing, and then C, I'll give you actual footage and talk to you about what I'm doing in random battlegrounds and arena and show you how to really have fun on your Holy Paladin, okay? And that's what you want to do. You want to have fun, right? And this is the stressful part, is learning it. But I'm going to walk you through it, fam. It's no big deal. Here we go. So here's the talent I'm currently running and I've been pushing with and plan to keep pushing with. It's the one I'm having the most fun with by far. I copied it from Reeceboss. No surprise. He's the rank 1 Holy Pally over on EU. I think he is currently the top solo shuffle Holy Pally over there. Some crazy rating. He has a YouTube channel where he covers a lot about this spec and how to play it. I'll go over some of that in this video, but there's none better than him. And I would definitely, if you're looking to get better, I would definitely watch him. Born Good is another great, he's on Twitch, just great information. And if you're looking to see top tier Holy Paladin play, you're going to want to watch them. But I'm going to help get you started and just talk you through what you need to be doing and how all this works together so that it's not just a bunch of glowy pictures. And if it is right now, don't worry. It'll all make sense by the end. The core concept to Holy Paladin healing is generating and spending this stuff. Holy power. And most of that revolves around this spell right here. And this is the one that makes Holy Paladin healing very unique and fun. Is Beacon of Light. You'll hear DPS beg you for it. Give me your beacon. And what it ensures, as you can read, is that 50% of the healing you do, whoever has this beacon, they get 50%. They get 50% of all the healing you do. So if you're healing other people, they're getting 50% of it. Okay. It has a great effect too. Watch this. Isn't that cool? I mean, I got to talk you into playing Holy Pally. Look at that. Beautiful. But I digress. So we'll take Beacon off for a second. Now, remember when I talked about generating holy power? Now let's talk about your casted heals. So your basic heals are these two. Flash of Light. Okay, cool animation. And Holy Light. Very cool animation. However, see how long Holy Light took? Yeah, that doesn't work in PvP. So you can pretty much get rid of this one. You're not going to use it very much. I'm not saying you can't. I'm just telling you that all the high level players I watch will tell you not to. This is pretty much all you use in PvP for two reasons. Number one, it's shorter, so you're less likely to be interrupted. And number two, you want to cast a lot because you're trying to generate a lot of holy power. And you're going to need a lot of holy power because you're going to need to do a lot of healing to keep up with this meta. So there's really just no time for Holy Light. And ever since I switched to just using Flash of Light, my rating has gone up. So follow the advice of the rank ones and don't use it. And if you are, just insist on using it, use it sparingly, I would suggest. But so Flash of Light. Now let's talk about this ability though. So watch, when I cast it on myself, right? I do get healed, but I don't get any holy power. However, if I have Beacon on me, beautiful. Now I heal, bam, holy power. Okay, when I get 3 or more holy power, I get access to these 2 healing abilities. We'll go into those in a second. But I want you to really focus on this core concept that you always want to be casting your heals into a target that has Beacon ideally. There, of course, will be times when that will not be the case. But as often as you can, you want to be healing into your Beacon because you're generating holy power and that allows you to heal more. Okay? While we're on the topic of Beacon, let's go ahead and I want to mention the talents as we work through them so you're not just staring at a bunch of shiny pictures and I can explain what this means, okay? Now, another ability or a couple other abilities that affect Beacon is this one, okay? Commanding Light, which increases how much healing gets transferred. And then another one here gives you an extra beacon. This is called Beacon of Faith. Isn't that cool? So now, guess what? You're in Solo Shuffle 2, right? And it's the beginning of the game. What do you have in there? You got 2 DPS, right? So DPS 1, DPS 2. And then when you're healing one, the other one gets healing as well. So isn't that cool? Holy Paladins deal with cleave damage very well. We manage it very well. I mean, it's never ideal, but that's one of the cool things about Holy Paladin healing. But that's the basics of it. You want to heal into your beacon targets, and then that helps you generate holy power, and you can spend that holy power on one of these 2 heals. Now, this is your single target one, your Word of Glory. This is not unique to Holy. Every Paladin has this one, from Ret to Prot. Okay, and it just looks like this, right? And I turned it, remember, I healed that one, but the beacon heals both. The other one, Light of Dawn, is an AoE, and it has a pretty cool effect. Watch. Now, you don't use this one in Arena. You pretty much just use the Word of Glory. However, there's some cool 40-man epic battlegrounds that have some cool Light of Dawn builds. So you'll want to know where it's at. But for the most part, in a Solo Shuffle Arena, you're really going to be hitting the Word of Glories. So, but that's the basics. Right there, you've got the basic understanding, is that you want to be generating holy power and spending it healing. Now remember, you want to be healing into a beacon, so if you have it set on your DPS, and now all of a sudden I'm getting tunneled and I'm running away, I'll need to swap the beacon to myself, right? And then if I am healing myself, and now all of a sudden my DPS is getting attacked again, and I'm in a safe position, and I no longer need the beacon, I can put it back on them, and now I'm healing them, right? And while I'm healing them, their partner's getting healed too. Isn't that cool? I love that. But that's the unique thing about Holy Pally healing. That's what people are talking about beacon and stuff. So, and then you want to spend it. Now remember, in regards to spending holy power, you can only carry 5. So, that is to say, if you get to 5, okay, and you cast Holy Light again, you won't get a 6th one. So you've kind of wasted those, and you don't want to do that too much. So you kind of want to spend them, but there are times when you're really going to want to hold them, whether because of dampening or you see burst coming or you see CCE. It just there are times when you're going to want to hold it, but for the most part, try not to waste them too much. Now, we'll just go ahead and cover this because it happened. This proc right here is Divine Purpose. Basically, every time you use one of these abilities, these holy power spending abilities, you get a 15% chance to get a free one. So sometimes you can hit Word of Glory. Well, that's another proc you can get, right? But we'll go into that one in a little bit. But suffice it to say that you can get, sometimes you can actually get 2 or 3 procs in a row. It can be kind of fun and really top someone off. So Holy Pally healing can be very dynamic and fun. I really enjoy it. I think you might too. So, but that's the basics of it. I'm going to get into some more generators and some more heals that you have. But I just wanted, that's the basic core concept of Holy Pally healing and healing into beacons. The first ability you have outside of casted healing to generate holy power is this one, Crusader Strike. This is where we get our reputation as the melee healer, but if you push it, it's just a melee attack that generates 1 holy power every time you click it. You'll notice right away that it has 2 charges. You have 2 charges because of this ability right here, Radiant Onslaught. But as you can see, just generate, and then you can spend it. Now, remember, it's not just about generating healing, but every time you hit this Word of Glory, you have a chance to generate a proc, right? So, I'm not having great luck right now. Now, most of the time, it's going to be better and more beneficial to just be healing. And I'll warn you right away, you're not going to want to run in PvP and get into Crusader Strike range very often. You're going to get fucked up if you do that. You're going to get straight fucked up if you run into Crusader Strike range consistently, okay? Don't do that. However, where it is kind of nice is, A, if you have just those fucking demon hunters on you or something and you're pulling them behind a pillar, see, then you can knock a few out. So let's say I'm out here, I'm healing, and now I come behind this pillar and here's a hunter pet on me. I can knock out 2 holy power right there right away, right? Add 1 more on top of it. I don't have my beacon on me, but if I did, add 1 more on top of it, and now I've got a Word of Glory. There it is. But that's the general idea. It's a melee attack that generates 1 holy power. It has some added use in Avenging Wrath, but we'll get to that. But for right now, just know that Crusader Strike is a melee attack that generates 1 holy power. And it can actually do a little damage, and it's pretty fun to knock people down with it. But for the most part, stay out of fucking melee range, okay? It's there if you need it, but don't attempt to get in range to use it, ever. Okay, remember that. Even I do it all the time, but just don't. You shouldn't. Essential spell 2, and one that you'll want to be hitting on cooldown is this one right here, Holy Shock, and it's just a little shock of light. Now, Holy Shock is awesome because no matter what you hit with Holy Shock, okay, it generates 1 holy power. Also, if it crits, and it has, as you can read down there, an extra 30% chance to crit, and there's even extra talents you take that can give it higher chances to crit. But if it crits, it will give you this right here, an Infusion of Light proc. Okay, now Infusion of Light procs basically reduce the mana cost of your Flash of Light, or make Holy Light, that other long cast ability, generate 2 holy power if it's cast on a beacon rather than just 1. Now it sounds like a great deal, and maybe you can get them off from time to time, but I wouldn't risk the interrupt and the time. You need to just be generating. You just really can't risk the interrupt that long cast takes. Now, back in the day, Infusion of Light used to speed up Holy Light, and that was awesome, and maybe they'll bring that back. But for now, just when you get Infusion of Light procs, okay, and now see, that didn't crit. And this is one of the criticisms of Holy Pally healing at times, is that if you're not getting crits, it can really hurt your healing, okay? There, an Infusion of Light proc, right? So now you'll see Holy Light, or Flash of Light lights up. Bam. Now, that's also important because of this, in ability right here, Imbued Infusions. So when I use that flash of light, okay, and I consume that Infusion of Light proc, it reduces the cooldown of my Holy Shock. So this is already only a 6.8 cooldown, right? So there, now watch this cooldown when I heal. Boom, right there, and now I got another one. Well, if I hit it. Sorry, my key bindings are jacked up, but I just wanted to space this all out for you all so you could see it, so it's not just chaos. So I've got my casted heal, right? So far, I've also got my Crusader Strike if they're in melee range, right? Or if there's a pet on me, or I need to defend myself. And then on cooldown, I want to be hitting this Holy Shock. Okay, and then these Infusion of Light procs are going to give me cheap flash of lights, and also, when I consume them, give me more Holy Shocks. Now, while we're here at Holy Shock, let's talk about a talent you have called Glimmer. You'll notice when I Holy Shock myself, I get this buff up here called Glimmer. What that means is for the next 30 seconds, every time I heal something, say I heal this dummy, watch, I'll also get a heal. Now, it's not a lot, but it's something. And one of the interesting things is if you can keep Glimmer off, because it lasts for 30 seconds, right? So this one's still up on them. I put one up on them. Right now, I give now let's just say I heal them. And now I put it back on myself. Now they still got it. So see, all three of them are getting healed. Now I heal this guy. And I keep a Glimmer up. Now he's got it and he's getting it. So everybody that's got your Glimmer on, every time you press Holy Shock, they're getting healed. And this gets really fun when you add an ability like Divine Toll, right? Let's just say no one has all these people that are around us, right? So this can hit up to 5 targets, right? So immediately you can put out 5 Glimmers. And then remember, every 5 seconds, you're casting another Holy Shock. So everybody that got those is getting another bump right there. And another one. 3 times. And then you can throw your other Holy Shocks on top of that. Plus your healing, that's cutting that down, and another Holy Shock. So you can get a lot of healing out with this Glimmer. It's a lot of fun. And keeping a Glimmer up on your targets can really help you spread up your healing and keep everybody up. It's not something you necessarily have to focus on as a young healer, and I wouldn't, but it's just something to be aware of. And that's what that Glimmer is all about. So when you heal yourself, you're going to get a 30-second buff on the people. And every time you press Holy Shock, and this is what's really important as a young paladin, is just to really get used to pressing Holy Shock on cooldown. You want this to become almost second nature to you, how often it's up. And it's something that I'm working on. But that's a good place to start. And remember, Holy Shock does not have to be cast into Beacon. It generates holy power no matter what you do with it. And you can even use it to hurt enemies, right? And it still generates, you can still, you can use it to hurt enemies and it still generates that power, the holy power. I wanted to make sure that was right. Yeah, but that's right. But that's Holy Shock. Staple ability. And if you need to, you could even use a mod like Tell Me When or anything and just put it up here so that every time it's off cooldown, it just pops up. But that is one you want to be using on cooldown. And that's how those play into each other. So Holy Shock gives you Infusion of Light procs. You'll want to spend those on your Flash of Light, right? And into a beacon, ideally. Not always, but ideally. That Holy Shock gave you a Glimmer, so when you heal yourself, you're going to get a little bit of that Glimmer heal too. And you can spread that around. Here it comes again. Holy Shock. Okay, I didn't get it there, so you still may have to cast Flash of Light, right? Even if you don't get it. Now I'm Holy Shocking. Okay, but now I got one. There it is. While we're talking about this, I want to mention another thing that goes along with Flash of Light, and this is a spell you take in your talent tree. right here. Divine Favor. It's a very famous paladin ability. It goes way back. It's had some different iterations. It used to make you immune to silence effects while you were casting, I believe. But anyway, it gives you basically a massive flash of light every 45 seconds. So say you're coming out of CC and you're behind and one of your DPS is really low, right? And they got your beacon up and you come out and you flashlight them and now you've got this big flash of light ready to go. You hit this Divine Favor, right? And then you flash a light and watch how fast. Whoa. And it's a big one, right? So your average ones are like 260. This one's a 60% increase and 30% faster. So that's kind of how all of those play together. And that covers Holy Shock and Divine Favor and how it works with Flash of Light and Infusion procs. But that's what's going on there. When you see all that going on, that's all that's happening. You're hitting in you're using your Holy Shock correctly, right? You're pumping it out. Still not getting crits. See, and that sucks. But it's okay. You just keep healing. Okay? And it doesn't matter. You get the infusion, there you go. You're still healing. It's nice because that cuts the mana cost by 30%. But now you're healing that. Here we go. And remember, also, consuming that infusion proc makes this come down. So now another Holy Shock. And now watch. Cuts that down. And another one. And now I'm back with another Holy Shock. That's it. That's how they play into each other. Got a Hunter Pet on me. I'm running away. I could use a few Crusader Strikes. And in between now, remember, I'm using Word of Glories. I'm not overcapping. So let's just show how, up to this point, how everything's going. So I'm Holy Shocking on cooldown. I'm healing with Flash of Light. Here it comes. Now, but I'm topped off, right? So I want to use a Word of Glory. Okay, now I'm Holy Shock's up, so I Holy Shock. Now I could Word of Glory. Nothing wrong there. Or I could go to 5. You really want to try to go to 5. And I'll tell you why in this build. Holy Shock on cooldown. Okay. Because it gets you into this right here. With your Blessing of Dawn. Which increases your damage and healing by 5%. Right? Of Dusk and Dawn. Every time you reach 5. So you want to try to maintain that buff as best you can. Now remember, this is a free one. So I just got a free use right there. Boom. And refreshed it. See? It's a lot to keep up with. And when you're first starting out, I wouldn't even worry about this. Okay? This 5% is not making or breaking your games where we're playing. But it is just something to be aware of, so I wanted it to be in the guide. So you want to try to build up to 5 as soon as possible. One of the fastest ways to get 5 right away is just to use this Divine Toll ability. See? And that gets you 5. So then you come out and, you get 20 seconds right away. And then I can spin that and I can build it back up, right? And it starts back over. So it's not as bad as you think, and it'll become more intuitive. But the big thing you want to remember is just Holy Shock on cooldown. Use your Infusion of Light procs, right? Holy Shock on cooldown. And then once you hit 5, or you get up here and try to keep this buff up. Okay. That's it. And remember, this is a free, that's a Divine Purpose proc, so you get a free use. So watch, I'm going to hit it. And it doesn't consume, so I get another one. And now I got Wings, which reduces the cooldown. Watch how fast my Holy Shocks are now. See, and especially if I get an infusion, like almost instant, right? Isn't that cool? And remember, I could spread the Glimmer around too. If I had another beacon up here. Okay, now I got that. Give them an Infusion of Light, right? Don't camp on Holy Power, even though I just did, but okay. But I want to hit that 5 because I want to get that reset. There it is. So that's basically it. That's the feedback. And you're pretty much there. We're going to throw a couple more spells in, but that's pretty much it. But that's the power and the utility of Holy Shock. And you really want to get good at hitting that ability on cooldown. So up to this point, we've covered Beacon, Crusader Strike, Holy Shock, Divine Toll. And now I'm going to throw this last log on the healing fire here. This is Bestow Faith. This won't take long. All this is a delayed heal that gives you a holy power. Now, just like Holy Shock, where no matter what you cast it on, it gives you a holy power. This also gives you a holy power whenever it goes off, even if it wasn't cast on one of your beacons, right? So all it does is you put it on someone, right? And after 5 seconds, boom, they're healed, and you get a holy power. That's it. Right, so 3, 2, 1, you'll see the heal. Boom, I get the holy power. And that's all it is. And you really just want to put that out there on cooldown because it's a nice little heal, but it's also just keeps your holy power coming in. So Holy Shock and Bestow Faith need to be going out non-stop. And that's something you really want to focus on as a new Holy Pally. So for the last part of the healing section, let's go into melee wings. There's 2 abilities that come into play in regards to healing when you have this Avenging Crusader talent. Typically, Paladins have had this Avenging Wrath, which is a basically 20% steroid. But if you come over here and you take this Avenging Crusader talent, which is in the build that I'm suggesting you run, because all of the rank 1 suggest you run it, this basically converts 2 of your big damage ability into big heal abilities. Well, one into a big heal ability, and the other one into a moderate heal ability. So what happens is this ability here, Judgment, if you don't know what it is, you basically just throw a hammer, right? Doesn't generate holy power or anything. It just does some damage. And then your next Crusader Strike or Holy Shock does 30% more damage to that target. So you can throw a Judge, and then you can shock them. Maybe a little range to execute if you want to try it. But that's how that works. But when you hit wings, okay, then this Judgment becomes a massive heal. And not just for you, but for up to 3 allies, right? So whenever you proc wings and you have Avenging Crusader, you want to throw Judgment on cooldown if you're healing. Okay, because this is a massive heal. And you'll see I have 5 more seconds left, so I'm going to get 1 more off. But it is a massive heal. Now also, Crusader Strike becomes a heal. However, I want to reiterate here, you don't want to run into heal with Crusader Strike. Stay back and heal. Okay, so you're just going to be healing. Your melee wings run out, but there is a chance that you could get an Awakening proc, right? This is an ability you have that when you cast Word of Glory, there's a chance, there it is, you got one, that you get a proc. So now we're going to heal, right? And now Judge, there it is. But the proc is pretty short, so I'll only get 1 Judgment out. But that's a big heal, right? And now I'm back to healing. Spending all my stuff, right? Now I have this Hammer of Wrath. That generates 1 holy power. That's another thing that becomes available when you wings. Now, it shows it's available now because this target's at below 20%. But if it's at high health, it won't. You won't have that ability. However, if you're in Avenging Crusader mode, you do have that. So you have it. You have that option to do that Judgment Hammer of Wrath double damage combo. Very cool. But that's what's really fun about playing a Holy Paladin is you kind of get to heal by doing a little damage. And you kind of weave that in and out of this proc mode. And, there's some definite criticisms to it being cooldown dependent, but I just love it so much. I think it's so cool. Between the beacons and the heals and the bestows and the trying to manage the holy power, I find it so much fun. But that's what melee wings is. All right, let's head outside for a little change of scenery as we begin to introduce the utility that you can weave into. So, on top of all that awesome healing shit and beacon stuff I showed you, we also have some of the coolest utility spells to weave in on top of that. The first one here is, probably the oldest and most well known is Freedom. So, just this. If you ever see this underneath your character, a paladin's giving you freedom. And that basically means that you're just immune to movement impairing effects. You can still be feared and stunned, but roots or any type of slow, they don't apply to you for 8 seconds. Another cool thing is if this talent here, Echoing Blessings, increases their run speed. So this has so many great uses, whether it's for yourself, right? And you just put it on yourself and you get away from DPS training you and you can go around a pillar and you can't be slowed. Or by casting it on like a flag carrier map and letting your flag carrier just launch up the tunnel free from being the ability of being slowed. I mean, it's just such a great feedback ability. You can give it to a DPS, both trying to get away and one that's trying to connect and stay on to a target to help really boost them up. So just a great ability, one of my favorites in all of Warcraft. The next ability, Blessing of Protection, is just amazing at what it does. So, as you can read, it basically blocks all physical damage. So this would include all warrior abilities, most marksmanship hunter abilities, windwalker monks, any physical auto attack, any physical damage ability. This will grant immunity to. This also includes physical forms of CC. So if you have a physical stun, like a warrior stun, a mighty bash from a druid, okay, magical stuns like Shadow Priest stun, Hodge, or and we'll get into the stun that paladins have. Any spell stuns, it won't count. It has to be a physical stun. But you can hit this, or sap or blind. Blind is a physical ability. So if you're blinded by a rogue, you can push this button to get out of it and save your trinket. Okay, now you'll have used that cooldown and you can see it's a long one. But you'll also have two, and this ability, Blessed Hands, which you'll run in Arena for sure, in Solo Shuffle, will give you 2 Blessings of Protection. So you'll have it as a cooldown a couple times. Now, if you'll notice, and this is something to remember if you're new to Paladin, did you see this Forbearance when I used that? When you use some of these big cooldowns, you'll get this 30-second debuff called Forbearance, which will prevent you from using one of those big abilities again. This ability, Lay on Hands, it causes that same Forbearance. You can read down there at the bottom, 30 seconds. So you could not bop a person and then immediately lay on hands. And so you have to know which abilities cause forbearance. Obviously, things like freedom don't, but your bops cause forbearance, okay? Your lay on of hands cause forbearance, and your bubble here, Divine Shield. There we go. So if I hit this Divine Shield to protect myself, right, now I'm in forbearance. This is very important. Because if these things happen to get dispelled or you hit the wrong one, then you won't be able to hit the correct one until 30 seconds, right? So if you meant to hit Lay on Hands, but you accidentally bop, but say they're taking damage for a mage, so the Blessing of Protection isn't going to work against mage damage, right? It's only physical damage. So there's times when this ability really isn't going to help you a lot, which is something you need to consider. What's going to be a good thing to use it against? Again, it can also bop off, like, so for example, a warrior's mortal strike debuff, right? It get, like, if they do the sharpened effect, that can be bopped off if it's late into dampening and you just ain't got it, and now you could bop that off a DPS you were healing. Physical disarms. So this is kind of an interesting play. If they disarm your warrior or one of your DPS while they're under while they're under their offensive cooldowns, right, which is a pretty popular tactic. You can actually, if it's a physical bop like or a physical disarm like the warrior disarm or a rogue disarm, you can actually bop that off of them. Now, what they'll need is they'll need a cancel aura. I'll link that. You know what? I'll put it in this video what that is. But you'll need this attached to some ability through a macro so that you can immediately cancel Blessing of Protection, because while it stops physical damage, it stops it both ways. So if you put it on a warrior's, let's say your warrior pops offensive cooldowns, he gets disarmed, so you bop him to remove the disarm, but then he has bop up for 10 seconds where he can't do damage because it stops his physical damage. He will need a macro to clear bop or cancel aura macro right there. I'll put it up at the top. Here we go. Add that to one of your abilities, and when you hit that, it will clear the aura, and then you'll come out of that Blessing of Protection without the disarm, and now you're back at it. So it's a pretty it sounds complicated, but basically all you do is you cast bop on them, remove whatever the problem is, and then they get back to work by canceling the aura. Some great uses of bop are when a DK grabs you and goes A-bomb them. A lot of that is physical damage. A lot of the pet damage is physical damage. Some of it's magic, but it shuts it down a lot. It pretty much completely shuts down a monk's karma, right? Because it stops all the monk's damage, which is physical. It stops aspects of the karma. The dot still persists, but the physical damage aspect is stopped. So it really neutralizes a karma. Again, it can get you out of a rogue blind. Like if you're blinded at, say, a flag, right? And you trinket that blind, you're going to get the CC and then he's going to cap it. But you could save your trinket and, bop yourself out of the blind. And then also you would be immune to any physical stun like a kidney for 8 seconds while that bop was up, right? So that's another use of bop. Say you see a druid coming in. Now this is a real ahead of like kind of aggro play, but if you see them coming in for a bash and you cannot, your guy's about to go down and you can't take it, you can put this bop up and it will make you immune to those type of physical stuns. But that's high level play. I'm not really doing that kind of stuff, but that's what it does. It stops physical damage, and it's amazing at that. And it stops physical CC, and it's amazing at that. But this is not going to help you against a combustion. It's barely going to help you against warlocks. The best it'll do there is probably bust you out of maybe a physical stun or something. But, against casters, it has very limited uses. But against, hunters, warriors, monks, all these really, even demon hunters to some degree, DKs to some degree, ferals. This removes bleeds. So if a feral opens up and just completely, bleeds are a physical dot. So it will remove all bleeds from you. So, feral takes his time, opens up on you, dots you all up, boom. You can hit yourself with a bop and it clears you. But he'll be right back when it's over. But yeah. That it'll buy you a little time. So Blessing of Protection. That when people say bop me, that's what it means. Either they want it to clear a debuff or they want it for the protection. This is really great for casters against melee. So say a warrior's training a warlock and you put this Blessing of Protection on him because the warlock is completely immune to the warrior's damage. So they can just sit in this and cast for 10 seconds, right? This is a really good time to talk about your aura too. When you're in arena, you want to be in this concentration aura that Holy Paladins get. This means if you get interrupted, the duration is 30% shorter. So you always want to have this because you do have to cast. Oops, sorry, I hit the wrong button. That's what Blessing of Protection looks like. If you have that ability, that's what it looks like. Okay? But let's just say I'm healing myself a flash of light because you have to do that a lot and I get interrupted. Well, as long as this concentration aura is up, and it applies to me and all my teammates too, so other casters, then if I do get hit, and you inevitably will get hit with a silence or a CC, a silence or an interrupt, the effects of those are 30% shorter. Now, another talent that you have here is Aura Mastery, okay? And what this does is when you hit it, depending on which aura you're in, it will enhance that aura for a brief amount of time. So, in this case, if we're in concentration aura, right, and I hit this, it's a 3-minute cooldown, right? Bam. I wish it was a little more dramatic, but if you see this under your feet, you'll know what's going on. But it makes us immune to interrupt and silence. So you can really, really pump out some healing without having to be concerned. Also, say your warlock or someone wants to go off on a huge offensive cooldown as a caster, you can pop that out and now they can't be silenced either. So it's an AoE silence and interrupt immunity for a few seconds. It's a 3-minute cooldown, but it's very powerful. A great way to use this that I have success with that's just fun is if you change your CC from this over to Repentance and someone gets in range and they're counting on being able to interrupt that. But if you just go immune and you can get off a Repent to land to win the game, it's kind of fun. Or if you have a melee that's training you, you can hit that aura mastery and pump a Repent into them, and they really can't stop you because you're immune. Sometimes they'll spend a stun or something to stop it, but it's a good way to do it. But that is available to you, right? So all this is available to you as extra utility to help your team win. And timing this up and syncing this up with your teammates is, the best thing to do. And learning how to do that and when to do that and making sure you have the ability to see it so that you do it at the right time. That all takes a lot of skill to develop. But that's the idea of what you want to try to be doing. So this next one, this is easy. This is lay on hands. All this is a giant heal, right? So someone is really low on health and you just basically target them and you hit them with lay on hands. Boom. And it makes that big effect. Like it came down from heaven and just covered you and lathered you in light. So it just gives them an absolute mega heal. It's nerfed a little in PvP, but it's a mega heal. It's a mega cooldown. Now remember, that's going to give you Forbearance for 30 seconds. So you hit them with lay on hands and then they get clipped immediately and now they're back low on health again. You can't follow it up with a bop. So picking the right one, say it's a monk, right? And they put Karma and they're going full burst and you accidentally used lay on hands. It would have been better to use bop. Or there's situations, right, where it might have been better. You accidentally use bop, but a lot of it's magic damage. So lay on hands would have been a better big cooldown to use to try to save that person. Okay. But that's part of just understanding what it does. And I've tried to explain it to you exactly how all that works. But that's kind of the interplay between Forbearance and picking your cooldowns. The next one we can talk about here, Blessing of Sacrifice. This one is awesome. I love this one. It's really just a 30% reduction in damage they take, but it's got an interesting little part to it where for 12 seconds, you take the damage, that 30%, right? So what happens is that damage you're taking, right, prevents a lot of CC on you. So let's say you get sapped, right? And then a rogue opens up on your partner out there. Well, you put this blood, when you come out of that sack, immediately you target them while you're in the sap, right? And immediately you're spamming this, just right when you come out of that sap, right? He forgets, someone doesn't get the CC off just in time or whatever. You get a sack up, okay? Now a mage who was a little late hits you with a polymorph. Well, because you have that blessing of sack on that target, right? Not only are they taking 30% less damage, which, lets you come out of here without being in a panic. But now that you're taking damage, think about it. It breaks that polymorph. So there's a lot of CC that it breaks. And it's really nice because then you're it's just they can't CC you because your sack is up. So getting your sack out early, and I would just tell you, it's a 1-minute cooldown. Be very aggressive with getting this out. And especially when you're first learning. You really, if there's a go going on, you want to try to predict who they're going on and get this on them if at all possible. Because again, not only do they take 30% less damage, but also if you get CC'd, it can break that CC so that you can get back to healing. Now, there are CCs, of course, that it won't break, such as stuns, right? It's not going to break a stun. It can help reduce the time of a fear, but you will still be feared. And, blind, it'll break you out of a blind. So there's just a ton of great. So if you get this out at times, it can save you a trinket. I mean, this can be a huge cooldown. Plus, it can save your DPS's life. Cyclone is an interesting one because if you get your Blessing of Sack out and they cyclone you, it won't break the cyclone, but you won't take damage either. So they're basically got a 30% damage reduction, and there's really no cost to you so long as they survive until you get out of that cyclone, and then they stop it from getting recloned, which they have some part in. But that's kind of interesting. Cyclone can kind of be nice if you get it out there, and then you don't have to worry about taking all that damage. But just remember, when you put this out, if they're getting blown up, your health's gonna go down too. The other utility spell we have is our movement spell. We're called Wheelchair Spec because as you're gonna get used to running around like this. But we do actually have a movement spell, Divine Steed. I have a glyph that makes it look like my faction mount, but it's a pretty cool ability. I mean, I don't know. Some people like it, some people hate it. I think it's kind of cool. I wish they kind of did something like for prot, like it could joust or something. I don't know. You used it as like a charge. I don't know. There's something else they need to do. Just as a mobility alone, I don't know. It's kind of lackluster, but. Okay, so the next one. This is my favorite one, and this is another capstone of talent that you get in this build. Blessing of Summer. This one is just phenomenal. I think this is a key to Solo Shuffle and one of the advantages. I think it makes playing a Holy Paladin Solo Shuffle a lot of fun. So the first one you'll see is just right there. 40% chance to deal 30% additional damage. You know how in Solo Shuffle 1 DPS, like the DH tends to rock? Throw this on them while you're on their team. Once they go in, right, just throw it on them. So, because it lasts 30 seconds. And it's a ton of extra damage. So it just completely can set the other healer down, and they'll be in shock with how much damage this can add. I think it's great. Maybe not in shock. It's not that much damage, but it's a nice buff. Blessing of Summer is really nice. So try to throw this on a DPS that's really going to shine. Okay, and you'll see how it works is you throw out a buff, right, and it lasts, and it buffs them up for 30 seconds. And then by the time it's up, it's got a few more seconds and it shifts seasons. And each season has kind of a different buff. So this Blessing of Autumn now, whoever you put it on in your team, their cooldowns are going to recover 30% faster. So say you've got a shaman and they've been getting trucked and you want their cooldowns to come down faster because you want the, whatever it is. I really like to give myself this one. Maybe you want to give it to a DPS to try to increase their defensive cooldown reduction. Maybe you want to give it down to an offensive player to help increase like a DH or something so that they can get more damage out. It only lasts 30 seconds, so it's not going to bring a cooldown all the way down, but it's a pretty quick reduction. And so it just continues to change. Now, Winter is a fun one because it does a little extra frost damage and it slows enemies. Reduces their movement and attack speed. Stacking up to 10 times. So you could take 20% attack speed on a full attack. So you stick something like this on a rogue or something, they can stack it up real quick. A Fury Warrior, DH, they can stack this up. Even an Enhancement Shaman, it can really help them stick to their target. So that's a great little buff to put out. And again, this is just rotating through, right? So we hand that one out. Look how pretty that is. So cool. And then the spring one is increase the healing done by 15% and healing received by 30%. So, you could put it on a DPS that's getting trained. You could give it to yourself and then couple that with your Dawn buff, right? So you get your, guess I should beacon myself, but let's just say you get your buff up, right? There it is. So that's 5% there. And then you put this on yourself, you're up to 20% healing for 30 seconds. That's crazy. As long as you're maintaining that buff, right? So no problem. And it's so easy to get. So you just keep maintaining that buff, right? And then bam. And now you put this Blessing of Spring. And that little bit has really helped me, especially deep into dampening stuff. It's just, it has been just enough at times. So, but the healing received by 30%. And, you know, that's a great thing to put on something like a DK that's using healing to survive, or a demon hunter that just gets a lot of passive healing. So, and outside of solo shuffle, you know, putting it on another healer that you're trying to keep up in a battleground. So the healing they're doing is increased and the healing they're taking is increased. This one is an oldie but goodie, Divine Favor. It's a 45-second cooldown. It's really quick. But what it does is it makes your next Flash of Light or Holy Light, and remember, we're just going to be sticking with Flash of Light for now, makes it faster and heal for a shit ton more. So you pop this, and then you target, and you hit that, and boom, you get a massive Flash of Light. You put that into a beacon target, they both get healed for a bunch. Probably the most consistent time that I use this as a mid-level healer. I mean, I'm not brand new. I'm still learning, but I'm not new. The time I use this most is like I come out of a long fear and my guy really needs a big heal. He needs a lot of health real quick. I just can't get him up. Okay, so ideally what I would do in a situation like that, if Bestow or not, and I just don't have time to get... So if Holy Shock's off, I'd probably get the Holy Shock. But then after that, even if I wasn't comfortable putting the Bestow out, I would Divine Favor and then just Flash a Light. So what happens, you come out of a CC, right? And then immediately you Divine Favor and Flash a Light for that big heal. So I use it to catch up a lot or to get a panicky big heal out if I need one. It's 45-second cooldown. So I really, I would encourage you to use this as much as possible. This Rebuke is really can surprise. I think it's really, really good at lower levels. It probably isn't as great at higher levels, but it is really fun to have. Basically, it's just a melee interrupt, right? So what's really cool about this is, say a druid comes and opens on you and it's close to the end of the game and they're trying to CC you to finish it. And so they stun you, right? But then you trink and they're starting to cast Cyclone. You can trinket it and pummel or rebuke that Cyclone, and then they're trapped out of that school. And then you could follow it up because they can't really, you could follow it up with a Blinding Light or a Hammer of Justice. Because they can't really stop you. And now, so that I've turned the tables on CC that way by using this ability to shut down the Druid's ability to cast Cyclone. And sometimes you're going to have to, stop your own Cyclones. It's just the nature of Solo Shuffle. So it is cool to have a melee interrupt. I surprise people in random battlegrounds with it a lot. It's just a lot of fun. It kind of plays back into that, tough melee healer. And I really enjoy that. All right, my man Vincent here is going to show off the next talent, this rule of law. So watch this, right? So he's back there getting in the truck, right? My man needs some heals. He's in Solo Shuffle. I'm healing him. Oh, I'm healing the shit out of you, Vincent. Now watch. Okay, so look how far I can be back. And this is something I want to talk to you. Look how far you can heal back. You don't need to be up there. There's nothing but trouble up here. You can heal back. And when they talk about good positioning, and if you're new to healing, you're going to hear it a lot. But just know that that's one of the basics of it. Try to be as far away as you can and have, basically you want to be in a position where you can do what you need to do without being in risk of being CC'd or interrupted. And the further off back you are, typically the better. Now that's not always true, and positioning has a lot of context to it. It's a complicated concept, and every scenario is different. But the general idea when people are telling you to be well positioned as a healer basically revolves around being in a position to heal without being in a position of being fucked with. So work on it. Watch the high level guys. They can give you some real good guide, but that's the basic idea. I'm going to go ahead and kill the beam of light above me here. Okay. So we're going to put there's my beacon guy. He's way out there, right? And I'm healing him. We're in an arena. Oh shit. He's really getting blasted, and I'm building it up, and I'm holy shocking, right? And I'm bestowing, and I gave him Blessing of Summer, and now he's kicking ass. Okay. But look, this guy's on me, or he ran out. He LOS'd me, and he's way far away, and I can't reach him. Now watch. I hit this rule of law. Now he's in range. For how long? About 10 seconds. Look how far you can reach with that. Look how far I'm still going. I'm still going, right? Look, I can hit this back here. and holy shock that motherfucker from here. I'm healing. I'm healing him. Look at that. One, I got 2 seconds left. From here. Now, once that's gone, that range comes all the way back down. Now, there are obviously arenas where that's not that advantageous, but ones like where the temple or wherever, you can get up on one level, or you can be all the way across the map pumping heals into your DPS so long as you have LOS. It's got to each, now you remember you get charges of this and they only last 10 seconds, but it's only a 30-second recharge too. So, you know, you can really hang back. So say you're healing here, right? And then, you know, you see them coming to set CC up on you. You can really just run away and heal, right? And now it's gone. And then when it's safe, you can weave back in. And I still have another charge if I need to. So that's what Rule of Law does. It allows you to get snipe heals way, way, way far away and stay, you know, keep your positioning and or reset your positioning. Say, you know, you had to work around a pillar or something and now you need to get out. Here we go. We're out of here. But I want to keep my boy upright so I can just be all the way back here. You're good, fella. Look, I'm using all my right here. Now, the disadvantage of being this far away is, remember, if you proc your avenging Crusader back here, right, you won't be able to use your Judgment Heal because it's very likely that all the enemy players will appear, and Judgment is an offensive ability, so you have to hit enemy players with it. But anyway, that's what Rule of Law is. Thanks, Vincent. Back at the target dummies to discuss CC options. Now, the most iconic Paladin CC, of course, is Hammer of Justice. And you're going to use this all the fucking time. And remember, as you're spending Holy Power, you're reducing, with this talent right here, you're reducing its cooldown. So each Holy Power you spent, which means every time you use Word of Glory, right, to heal, right here, that's Holy Power spent. So you're spending 3 Holy Power. Every Holy Power spent reduces the cooldown of Hammer of Justice by 2 seconds. So every time, so let's say we Hammer of Justice this, right? Just a stun, bam. And that's what it looks like. And they're stunned for 5 seconds. 6 seconds, excuse me. So they eat that stun and then whatever happens in there, right? So now I have a 47-second cooldown. So we put a beacon on myself, start healing myself, right? And now once I do this, watch. I'm going to hit this once. Now watch this cooldown. Bam, 6 seconds off, right? And so it's constantly cooling down. Now, you don't really want to go set up a lot of CC as a Paladin. You really want to use this defensively. I'm not saying you're never going to just pony in across the map and try to hammer a Druid and then follow it up with another CC. All I'm going to say is that's a real easy way. You're just as likely to throw a game that way as win one. Probably more likely, especially if you're newer. So I would just really focus on playing a little more defensive. But it is an option and it is there. And this is your stun. And, you know, it'll be up. And so you can use it to help you peel. You know, you stun them and then you can run away. You can use it to help stun the healer or secure a kill. There's a whole bunch of ways to use it. Now, remember, our stun is magic, so other healers can cleanse it. So if you're in a panic and a demon hunter's on you, right, and you hodge them, and their healer's on it, they can immediately cleanse it, and they're back on you again, right? So you really kind of didn't get much out of it. A better thing to do in that situation, because we have a magic stun that can be dispelled, is if it's a DPS and they're on you and you're trying to use your hodge to peel, is pull them behind a pillar and then stun them there. And then they either have to trinket or their healer has to come all the way around and get line of sight. So if you get them really hugged up here and say, this guy's chasing me and then I stun him here, well, if his healer's over here on the arena, he can't get freed. And so now he's stunned, right? And I'm just going to use my pony, and I'm over behind this pillar now. And so now, once my stun's off, he's got to come all the way around and get to me. So that's something to remember about Hammer of Justice, is that it is a magic ability, so it can be dispelled. Now, you get to pick between these two right here. Blinding Light is basically just that. It's just you hit this, boom, and it puts a blind out for 4 or 5 seconds. Any damage other than holy damage is going to break that pretty quick. How it's really useful is if you if you come in and you Hammer of Justice, say a druid or something that you caught them trying to come in on you and they Hammer of Justice, and they immediately trinket that, and now you hit them with Blinding Light, which counts as a blind, like a magical blind. And they are full in that for 6 seconds. So it's a way to set up a CC chain and possibly secure a kill. But that's all it is. It's just it's on a 1.5-minute cooldown though, so it's kind of a long cooldown. But it is an AoE blind. So if 3 of them are on you, or 2 DPS are on you behind a pillar, you can blind them and it'll hit both of them. And then you're off to the other pillar or whatever you need to do. So, and again, you're consistently reducing the cooldown. So you're spitting out Hammers of Justice, and then this is there kind of as a backup, or as to secure a kill for that last little oomph you need on a CC chain. The other option you get aside from Blinding Light is you can take Repentance. You have to pick one or the other if you go this route. But Repentance is just it's just basically a 1.5 second cast, and it puts someone in a state of repentance, right? It just basically, it's an incapacitate. It says right down there. It's really nice to follow up with a Hammer of Justice and follow up with the Repentance. I love this ability. I had a lot of success with it in the 16 to 1800 bracket. I imagine as you move up, this will become less effective as players have better map awareness and they're better with their ranged interrupts. You could because this can get locked out too running this. So you're trying to cast a Repent, you get interrupted. Now you can't heal and you got big problems, partner. So I would not run this right now. The high rated ones, Pallies I see are all running Blinding Light. So I would run that for now. I wouldn't worry about weaving in Repent, especially if you're learning. But I do like to run it, and I have a lot of fun. Especially one of my favorite tricks is, even if they think they're going to, and I see that they all have their interrupts up, right? You can always hit this Aura Mastery to land one, which is way greedy, and you shouldn't do that. But I have done it before just to secure a match, and it did win me the match, so. But I love to run Repentance in random battlegrounds because people never see it coming. I've won like big team fights because the other healer did not see me coming with a repent them. None of my team touches them. We clean them up, but I really like this ability. But again, it does have a cast time. So if DPS are on you, Blinding Light's way better because it's instant and it's going to blind them. However, if you've got a DPS trying to help peel and then you Blinding Light 3 of them and your DPS does an AoE move, it pretty much just breaks all that CC and you're right back where you started. So Blinding Light is probably the safer pick most of the time, but Repent has its play. The last couple of abilities here that we need to cover, just because it's not a good PvP guide if it doesn't cover defensive. So on top of being able to bop yourself, lay on of hands yourself, stun your opponents, blind them, run away from them with freedom, run away from them with horse. The other personal defensives you have that only apply to you and you can't put on other people are this one, Divine Protection, which is just every 42 seconds you can take 20% less damage for 8 seconds. This is great because even you can activate this even if you're stunned. So a warrior stuns you, pops a big cooldown, but you don't have, you can't trinket out of it. You're going to want to hit this. A rogue, cheeps you and pops Shadow Blades. You're going to want to hit this. Okay. You're going to want to reduce the damage you take. And I think the sooner you could learn to predict incoming damage and activate defenses before it starts rolling down, because then it becomes much more manageable the earlier you get your defensives on it. But again, that's a skill. It takes time and you have to fuck it up before you learn how to do it. Okay, but that's Divine Protection, and it's a great one. The other one's still on cooldown, but you've all seen it. You know what it is. It's Divine Shield. Okay, it's Big Bubble. Now, two classes, Warriors and Shadow Priest, and they're both pretty popular, especially at the lower elo levels. You're going to see a lot of them. But you put this ability on you, and they can dispel it. Warriors through Shattering Throw, and Priest through Dispel. So, if you're a Paladin, beware of where you bubble and look out, because you might have to stun them when they go to cast it or dispel your bubble to stop them or blind them or whatever. If you're a DPS and your Paladin bubbles, something to look out for is to keep the other team from dispelling it or getting rid of it, because they probably need some time to catch back up. All right. If you made it this far through the entire spell book, congratulations. I'm going to hop into some battlegrounds now. That's where I'll start, because that's where you'll start. And honestly, that's my favorite type of PvP is random battlegrounds. I'm going to show you how you can bring all this together to have a lot of fun. Because at some point, you're going to have your conquest cap, and you're going to get sick of pushing into a bunch of Shadow Priests and Demon Hunters. But honestly, one of the things I do the most is I just do random battlegrounds. I love them. I can't get enough of it. It's my addiction. So I'm going to show you how you can pull this whole kit together to have just an absolute blast. Here we go. Fucking monkey. Jesus Christ. It's great. Okay. Let's talk about a couple things while we're waiting in queue here, though. That's right. Monkey. I don't know. I gotta sleep. But cleanse. Huge in PvP. And if you're coming in kind of as a new to be healing in PvP, you're going to see little debuffs pop up on your allies, and you're going to want to take them off with your cleanse, or it's called a dispel. Now, it's very important that you do this, but as a paladin, it's almost doubly as important, because you have this little PvP talent that I run pretty much all the time in group PvP. I mean, depending on the enemy setup, but most of the time I'm running this. So, and that ability allows you to take a lot of shit off a lot of your friends very quickly. It's the bane of dot classes. So now there are counter mechanics to it called, counter dispels. I don't want to ruin that magic for you. There's an education in there that you're going to get that I don't want to take from you, but just know that you'll know when it happens. And that's fun. You need to learn it. You need to learn it the hard way. There's only one way to do it. So don't let me take that. But just know that there's a little more to it than that. But for the most part, you want to take stuff off your allies. The other thing I want to really stress is just use your cooldowns. Never save them. Throw them out, especially in random battlegrounds. Because, honestly, you change the fight more as a paladin using your cooldowns and your utility often than rather your healing. And you'll see that just about how much extra you can help a fight by just throwing out freedoms, sacking someone so that they can just stay in there and cleave down a bunch of guys. It's really an impressive toolkit when it all comes together. Another thing that I think I would add to new Holy Paladins, and here's a little secret that something I've just come to learn, is that this Echoing Blessings, it gives your freedoms a speed up. So when you speed yourself up, typically when a bunch of DPS are on you in random battlegrounds, the tendency is to want to hit this and then hit your pony. But I would actually suggest against that. I would make sure you have your speed enchants on your gear too. But because see, with this Echoing Blessing too, it goes on. See how long I'm moving faster before I slow down? So you have to remember that with Echoing Blessings, this is actually a pretty good little speed. I mean, if you just want to get around town, people are like, paladins don't have a lot of movement, but you can just put this on yourself even when you're just running around town. Right? And it's 7 more seconds. So you're really... Now, remember, when the disc leaves, the little light disc, you don't have as much... you're not immune to snares, but you still have that speed increase. And that's very often enough time to get away without, and then you still have your pony, right? So then if they still keep coming, well, now you can mount up on your pony. So like if you just, so let's just say from this point right here, right? If you just use one pony and your freedom at the same time, you would get to here. And you may have to do that at times. But if you can heal yourself up and keep, you know, while you're moving, just keep your Holy Shock, keep Bestow Faith in yourself, right? And then you put a freedom on yourself and you're running. This is usually enough. And then if you do happen to have a Wings proc, remember your Crusader Strike and your Judgment are also healed. So, and you can Crusader Strike while you're moving. So you've got Holy Shock, Bestow Faith, and Crusader Strike that heals you, but only if you're wingsing, right? And then you can Word of Glory yourself as well, which could proc your wings, right? So you just, there's ways to kite it out. And then at the end of that, but that's how you're going to kite stuff out in Battlegrounds. And or just remember, just try to pull stuff away from its healers. If I could advise you on anything in kiting, you know, some classes it matters. DHs, they don't seem to need them right now, but for classes that need healers, try to, because just this freedom. So say you get, what is it? 8 seconds right there. That's all immune to snares. So you at least force the enemy team to use stuns to stop you. And again, it's frustrating to eat CC, but you're going to eat it a lot as a healer. And remember, it's CC your team doesn't have to eat. So just hang in there. Your team's going to have to help you a little bit. And there's some nice tricks as a paladin that you can use. Oh my God. The Sacred Lumber Mill. If you don't know about the Sacred Lumber Mill, then I advise you to go check out my video called The Sacred Lumber Mill. But if you're watching my fucking channel and we're in a Ranty base and we're going to the motherfucking lumber mill every time, I can see those little filthy horde heathens gonna defile my Sacred Lumber Mill. Makes me fucking sick. We'll get down to business. All right. First thing you can see here is that I have a weak aura that reminds me not to be stupid and not put out my beacons. So what I like to do is put it on the most geared people because they tend to just shine. So this, actually, I think I just played a battleground with this. I'm going to whisper and say, LM, please. Oh, a champion of the light, and we're here to assist him in his quest. Will do. Okay, this is where it gets fun. So I love to get me a horse, and this is how I like them, folks. I like a horse you got to put reins on rather than spurs. You hear me? I like those DPS. If you're one of those DPS that likes to leap in and LOS behind a pillar, mwah. That's the kind I like. I can break that out of you. I can teach you how to balance that out, but I can't, you know, these ones that sitting behind a pillar like 15, 20 seconds before anyone even engages, it makes me sick. I'm sick of these fucking hordes going up to my goddamn lumber mill. We'll see about that. Okay, let's do it together. I like to give a little cheat. Damn right. Let's go, Blue. Gotta work out the shoulders here. Here we go. It's just a random. Maybe to you. Get the fuck out of my way. Here they come. Oh, God. I can feel the weight of them in my mouse. Strap it on. Get those chin straps buckled. Here we go. Now, immediately I'm hitting Aura Mastery because I'm giving everybody time to cast. Here we go. No, you don't get to come up here and take that. Here we go. Where's my Brixie? Rule of law to kick it out there. Freedom on my Brixie. Giving him that blessing of spring. Gonna absolutely destroy. Done again. Nope. Just dump all damage into Bear. Crusade. That's it. Now we go right down here to the Sacred Lumber Mill. Mwah, I love you. Good job, everyone. Hunter right here, freedom, because the mage is going to try to slow. Can't do it. We can join in damage. Rogue on him. Okay. Cleanse that off. Bestow. Shock. Wog, get that out. Nice. Bricks right here. There's my warrior, right? Gonna go ahead and just make my focus. I have a way to just target that very quickly. That'll come. Don't worry about that kind of stuff. You just keep shocking out, sending out the Bestow Faiths. There we go. Right here, I'm watching. There it is. Perfect. Just stay. Just keep the momentum going. Honestly, just keep the momentum going. Your job is to make sure that no one can stop them from doing their fucking job. Oh, right here. Do I have this? Do I have this? I do. Lay on of hands. Did you see that? Perfect. That's what that ability does. Now I'm clear on everybody. I'm coming in hot. There it is. Rogue here. Bestow Faith. Holy Shock. Wog. Back on my warrior. Giving him, just keeping that warrior freedom the whole time. Where? Rule of law. I can't find. See, where you at? That's it. And this is all you have to do. See, and when you have the good players, now, I think we probably outgear these Hordes a little bit, which is, you know, it happens in randoms. Look, this, don't let the highlight reel fool you. I've been trash like this too, so this just happens to be one of those ones. But you can really, I'll just show you how you can keep people up, because they should probably overwhelm us here pretty quick. That Judgment Heal. Hunter, keeping that Hunter back. Now, Hunter needs to kite out, right? Brixie. Sack on Bricks. Okay. Keeping them up. Just keeping up. Now, I got to keep moving back, right? So you have this rule of law, so I can get way far back if I need to. Now, remember, I got Reckoning here. This is a big heal. As big as you'd like sometimes, but going to take all that off. Trying to keep Bestow Faith. I always try to keep Bestow Faith. The Judgment Heal. There it is. That was a nice one. Now remember, these Glimmers are getting heals every time. Oh, Bricks. Freedom. Every time. I'm giving them a cooldown reduction with that. I probably should have given that to myself, to be honest. Almost had me there. Oh, that. Okay, so that's something. You see that? That was a great play by that priest. Very good. So I bubbled and I made the mistake of thinking I was safe, and I wasn't, because they dispelled it off me. So I could have got myself up there. So I bubbled to counter all that pressure, and then they countered my bubble by dispelling it. Something to remember as a Holy Paladin. Priests are fucking sellouts to their brothers of light. Now you good. All good. All good. Keep smashing. All good. Go Zug. More Zug. So watch this. Okay. Okay, so I bought myself cleansing Bricks here. See if I can, let's just see how long we keep them up. Sometimes it's fun. The challenge is fun. Oh, God, you're good. No, you don't have to pull out when I'm shining. When I'm glowing, you don't got to pull it. You can just go. Okay, that's a physical stun, so I can bop out of that, right? Cleanse that off. Bricks! Flash a light heal. Bricks! No! No, Bricks! But we tried. So that's what you could do. I mean, look, I lasted for a while, right? You can't last forever. Praise the light, the sacred lumber mill secure. I hope you can see how much fun this is. You see, you just trying to survive and you're working with someone. And I tell you, look, I get more positive feedback from playing a healer than anything else. And I'm telling you, it's a lot of fun and you can do it. And also, what you see me doing, you can get to my level of skill easy. I mean, I'm still missing stuff. I'm panicking. I'm forgetting to put out my blessings. There's times I should be CCing. Like I'm just missing a bunch of stuff, but I'm just having fun. And you go in there, you throw it all out there, and you just get those randoms going. God, I love randoms. Oh, Warsong. Now, the great Holy Paladin debate in a flag-carrying map is whether or not you're going to run Ultimate Sac. This turns your Blessing of Sacrifice, rather than just reducing 30% of the damage, and then you take 100 of it. You take 100% of the damage, but you stop 100% of the damage. But this only lasts 6 seconds, right? Whereas this one lasts 12. So it cuts it in half, but it's 100% of the damage. Now, the great trick here is you pop this ultimate sack on your flag carrier when they have a bunch of stacks, and normally they would die, right? But it's transferred 100% of the damage to you, but you're not going to last long, right? However, you combine this with Divine Shield. So you pop ultimate sack on like the tank or the flag carrier, throw this Divine Shield on, and they are literally immune to damage for 6 seconds. Doesn't matter what they're getting thrown into them. Now, that can be long enough to win you the match. It can also not do really shit and just, delay the inevitable. So I don't typically run that unless I'm running in rated BGs. So if I am in a communication and I can time it, because it can be a great cooldown. So say you've got a bear tank or a demon hunter tank and, they've got their big cooldown. You're like, hey, I'm going to sack you right after that cooldown. Right. And I have won games because in that 6 seconds, our team was able to turn the flag in and it just happened to work out. Another big thing that we wanted to really be aware of is throwing out these freedoms, right? This is to any characters getting across the map that are trying to get across the map. Very helpful.
We fight together for the Alliance.
Perfect. All right, family. Here we go. Smack these hordes. Give them a proper smiting. Okay. Big scary Boomkin. Now right away, Boomkin's gonna come out, pop big CDs, and we're just gonna go with our aura out so that we can. It was probably a little early. I don't like the positioning here. This is awkward so I'm going to just come this way, take all that off. You're going to need a beacon, my friend. And I could, you know what? They're on you, so I'm just going to give you a freedom. So see, right there. Now they can just kite out. Freedom on myself because I really don't want any. Oh, I trinket? I think I'm going to and just put sack out. Now if he trinket, now because he has sack out, right? If they try to. Big heal. Rule of law to get people in range, maybe. Freedom on the monk, because monks with freedom are just dirty. Perfect. Gonna cleanse all that naughty stuff off of you, rogue. Where you at? Nice. Very good. Now remember your judgment. If you are going to use Holy Shock offensively, and I like to sometimes. I don't give a shit. It's awesome. I like to throw out a little attitude. If you hit them with judgment first, this will hit 30% harder. And if you're glowing, it can be a nice little execute. But just remember that. Oh, I should have just... Okay, so we're going to go ahead and do this guy. Going to go ahead. That is a lay on of hands. Cleansing, and we're just going to keep my Mr. Death Knight a chug-a-lugging with the freedom. Keep going. Going to come in here with my dear friend, and we're going to come get this flag. That's what we're going to do. Now the rogue could sap him, but he'll get out of sap. He has an ability to do so. There's freedom. Now I'm going to give myself freedom too. And I'm going to put down a consecrate. Now what that does, if there's any stealthies behind us, they'll pop. And then I have a chance to CC them rather than they get to sap me, right? I don't have my Battlegrounds enemies up, but if I did, I would know if they had a rogue. That's why you need that add-on, and I need to enable it again, but I just haven't. Okay, so making this guy my focus. Make sure he's got a beacon on. Go ahead and put the other one on me for now. And I'm going to stay over here, and I'm going to try to stay in front. Now, this is where it can get frustrating, is if your team doesn't focus on getting the flag back and they kind of sit out there fighting. I mean, whatever. Right? They're having a good time. But either way, your duty to the light is to protect the FC. That's what we do. Now, one thing to remember on flag carriers is you can't use BoP. Give them freedom, little speed up, and cap. That's it. That's all you got to do. Two more. I like to give a little shout out to the crew. Keep everybody happy. Good job, team. Two more. Let's go. Got you, Benito. Oh my gosh. That bop went off on me. That was meant for that. Sojak, run, Sojak. Got you, Benito. That's a bop. Big heal coming. 2 DH is so much damage. Got you, fam. So, see, this is where he's going to throw that out of me. Go, Monk. Go, Monk. Get low on mana here. Nice. Cleanse this off, come in here and just let all this mana catch back. We're back in it. That's it. Got to fight for those green buffs. Good job with the peels. Oh no, come on, come on, come on. I don't have lay on of hand. Nope. Sojak, where you at, baby? I don't see you. I see you, my warrior. I come, my king. No, my man, I got you. Freedom. Freedom because he's on that mage and he hates it. And that freedom makes it all better. Oh, he loves that. Yeah, he loves that. I'm having to use a lot of these rule of law charges. Remember, these help you reach out further, so if something's just out of range. Anyway, I'm showing you stuff. I need to get back with our flag carrier. Rocket boots. Help bad healers get back where they should be. Stun, he'll trinket maybe? He doesn't trinket. Now that's a physical stun. I could bop it. I don't have any charges, so. And I don't need to. Just stay right here. Sack the him. I'm going to go ahead and just bop. Now I'm giving him... Oh, God, look at that. Look at that. You saw it, family. You were here for it. He's a killer. They're not even touching me. Are you kidding me? I gotta maybe get some... See, I don't think I can spare it. Hold on. 49.50. Big heal. Cleanse. Go. Oh, my God. You saw it. You saw the power of the light right there. God, you gotta love randoms. Get these random challenges. That was fun. Well done. Well done by that DK. Between Death Strike, we were just spamming Death Strike and heals in there. Little salute. All right, I'm going to save all my charges because I'm going to need them maybe. Someone's got the flag. We're going to get there right away. Going to leave this beacon. Oh, there's Sojak. All right. Well, right at the door. That's nice. Again, dropping Consecrate. See if any stealthies are in pursuit here. We got a Monk. I like it when a DPS stays with us. Big fan of that. Big fan of that. I feel like I need a few DPS. But, see, no one's going to get the flag either, so that's kind of a problem. However, be a little patient because you got to realize, right? So, in this case, oh. Now, this rule of law is fun, right? Because there it is. And that's all you do. That's all you do. Okay, young Paladin. Now it's your turn to go out there and get shining. I wanted to really show off this class. It's my favorite. And I wanted to put a guide together that would take someone with absolutely zero knowledge, has never played a Paladin before in Warcraft, to having fun in PvP as quickly as possible. There's always a learning curve. And WoW's a hard game. I don't care what anyone says. There's a lot to learn. There's a lot of abilities. There's a lot going on. It requires a lot of awareness. And that will all come with time played. But you can easily get to doing what I'm doing. And I wanted to put a guide together that help all the new healers get started. So, light be with you. You're going to kick ass. And you're always going to look good in those T-Mogs, baby. Keep shining. Oklahoma out.